What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. And yeah, it looks like Ben Godfrey is going to be joining Everton, £25 million up front with £6 million in add-ons or something, I think it is. What is he? Well, he's a player who's quick, mobile, good feet, both feet, young lad. Obviously, he played in the Premier League with Norwich last season. You know, he wasn't that player that people remembered. You know, they remembered Max Aarons, they remembered Jamal Lewis, they remembered Todd Cantwell, remembered Pookie, Buendia. Didn't remember this lad, which concerned me at first. Then I've started to watch a few YouTube clips of him. I watched one a couple of days ago when we first sort of got linked with him, and I thought, yeah, you know, he looks like a decent player. I personally would have preferred someone with a bit more Premier League experience, but again, that's just personal opinion. Norwich City fans think a lot of him, say he's got great potential, which is fine. You know, he's the sort of player that it's not going to be difficult for him to get games at Everton. You know, let's be fair. Yuri Mina puts the shits up me. Michael Keane can have an off day. Mason Holgate's injured. Branthwaite's injured. You know, this is a player that is a good player. I've got my personal reservations, certainly not against him. Just I don't fully understand why we're doing this when, in my opinion, we've got a really good young centre-back in Gibson who equally has potential. But I do appreciate that Godfrey has played Premier League football. So, you know, it's positive. It is positive. It's another signing that Everton needed to make, a centre-back. We've strengthened in all the areas that I think they wanted before the start of the season. Certainly what Carlo said. Kenny's not going to be going out now. So, you know, we're not going to be signing a right-back. I highly doubt we'll be signing anyone other than maybe a striker. And that's just because I think Moise Keane's going to be going back to you there. So, interesting, really. I also like the fact that this is a kid who's got absolute pace. Like, this is a lad who is quick. I mean, you look at his FIFA ratings, they're pathetic. But, you know, he's saying he's got 72 pace. He hasn't. He's going to probably be the quickest defender we've got in our team because he is rapid. You know, there's a scene from last season. There's a video from last season where he's running at full tilt to get back in front of, I think it might have been Decore at Watford, or whoever it was, and he gets back in front of him. But he's ran 80 yards to do that in the 81st minute of a game. You know, this is a lad who's got an engine, he's quick. And again, that's the sort of thing we need because Everton can be caught on the turn. You know, the one thing Yuri Mina and Michael Keane are not gifted with is pace. They're not gifted with either. So it's a good addition. It's a good addition, in my opinion, in the defence. As I say, he's also a young lad. So he's going to have time to develop and grow and change. Here comes the dog. So, you know, it is an exciting signing. It's a good signing. This is a lad that literally in January, I think it was linked with Bayern Munich, Arsenal and Man United for £50 million. So Everton have got a good deal here, in my opinion. £30 million for a player that is highly rated, very good technically. There's not really much that can go wrong, apart from him becoming a complete flop, which I don't think will happen. I think he's got more than enough quality. Another potential incomings, because we may as well discuss them all while we're here. We've been linked heavily, not as heavy as last summer, but heavily with Wilfried Zaha. I can't see that happening. Would be a lovely surprise. But equally, I don't think he's a must. Like, he doesn't massively do it for me. I don't think he had a great season last season, and although he started this season great, I'm not fussed about Zaha. You know, if we did want a winger and we wanted to spend 35 million, I'd rather go for Ismail Sarr from Watford or even Lozano. I'm not feeling Zaha in that sense. However, look, if Mashiri loves him and Mashiri wants him, he'll go and buy him. The area that I think we will bring in someone is a striker. I do think we will bring in a striker, but a lot of people are thinking it's going to be someone like Milik or, you know, I saw the other day that we were linked with Morelos from Rangers. I don't think it'll be either of them, because similar to what Spurs have to deal with Harry Kane, they're going to have to deal with the same issue with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison in front of them. And that's what Moise Keane's issue's been. You know, I understand, and I said this with Lookman, for a young player coming to a club, it is important, imperative that they play games. You know, otherwise they are going to have a sulk on. Otherwise they are going to be like, well, why have I joined? You know, and that, giving them the exposure will stop them having that bad attitude. Now, look, equally, there's a fine balance, because you don't just give in to them because of a name. But I just think that we could have played Moise Keane more. You know, there were 7 games at the end of the season Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't score in, and he didn't get a sniff. And, you know, equally, I say this for Ellie Sims as well. There are opportunities for players like them to play games, and I just don't think we did enough in that sense. But look, that again, that's a personal opinion. Moise Keane had a bad attitude. You know, we've saw it time and time again. You can't replace the stuff that he did off the pitch, you know, the fucking sex parties and the, you know, breaking quarantine. You can't get around that. But the simple fact of the matter is, he is a talented player, but he's never going to cut it at Everton, it appears. You know, Carlo Ancelotti can say he's got a future all he wants. We all know that he probably hasn't at this point. Other news, Mohamed Besic, Rangers. Interesting. He'll do well. He'll do well at Rangers. To be honest, he could play in the Premier League. He could. I like Mo Besic. I just don't think he's good enough to get into Everton. But I like his attitude. I like the fact that he's prepared to graft for the team. No problem with that. Another player was mentioned today in the press conference, and Yannick Bolasie. Yannick Bolasie on Twitter, his head has gone. Like, it's gone. And I'm not going to scapegoat him. I'm not going to criticise him for any wages or anything like some fans have. I just don't agree with that. But it's nice to hear he's training with the team, at least to a degree. Carlo said that he's not going to play games, so he may as well find a new club. And fair enough. I mean, Bolasie's got 2 options here. He either sits on at home, because he ain't going to get in the team. He either sits at home, earning 75 grand a week, or he goes and finds a new club to play football. It's his choice, isn't it? You know, the club, I think they'd be fine if he went for nothing. I think it's just the wages off the bill, which would be great. You know, I mean, what's that? 75 grand times 52. You know, it's a decent amount of money. 3.6 million pound a year. You know, that's a lot of money. So yeah, I mean, I'm all cool with getting rid of him. Morgan Schneiderlin, it was a small fee. Look, these are players that we need to get rid of, but there's loads throughout the entire Everton team. There are tons of players, midfielders. You know, there was rumours Tom Davies would go to Southampton on loan. I suspect he will go out somewhere. I firmly suspect that Tom Davies will not be at Everton Football Club on Tuesday morning. But as to where he's going, I don't know, because there's been no links. So it's very interesting to see where some of these players are going to go. You know, Bolasie, Besic, Tom Davies, Walcott. Will Iwobi be there? He probably will. But there's several players in that Everton team that I just don't think have got a future. And he mentions, you know, he's got a squad of 31, but this was before Godfrey. So now he's got a squad of 32, and he wants to trim it down to 23. He ain't getting rid of 9 players in 2 days. It's just not happening. Marcel Brands has had a great window, but he's certainly not a miracle worker. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Everton will do well. I think it's been an excellent window, you know. The standout for me is obviously James Rodriguez, but you've got to give every single player that's been bought in this summer some credit. You know, Niels nkounkou, absolutely phenomenal. Like, this is a kid that could play in the Premier League week in, week out. You know, he's only been stopped by the best left back in the Premier League. It's unlucky, but it's great that he's biting at the bit to get in the team. You know, and equally to that, I personally think he could play further forward. I certainly think he will have a Bale-type career. He'll go from left back, he'll end up in left wing, and I could see him playing across the front. He's that comfortable on his feet. I really rate this kid. You know, then Allen, solid, come in, experienced, European pedigree. You know, speaks for itself. Then you've got players like Rodriguez, which, again, speak for itself. You know, we're lighting up Times Square, celebrating the fact that we've signed Rodriguez, which is, again, absolutely mind-blowing. And on top of that, you've got players that have come in, Premier League experience, like Toffee, who has played well. I'm not going to say he's been brilliant because he hasn't. Some of his passing has been woeful. But, you know, he's tracking back. I mean, twice this season he's saved our ass. One against Palace, against Zaha, and one against Tottenham. You know, he's ran 50 yards to get that ball back and retrieve it. Fine, I'll take that all day over a couple of, you know, loose passes. He's been brilliant. He's been great. So Everton Football Club have completely changed. And then all of a sudden, you've got players absolutely playing out their skin. I sound like Cam from Mighty Blues now, rapping. You know, you've got players playing out of their skin. Sigurdsson, he looks a different player. He looks a different player to last season. Take that all day. Seamus Coleman. Ben Stanley come on here and compared him to a shitting dog in a corner. Well, I'm telling you now, he's a fucking wolf. He's an absolute fucking wolf. Up and down, fucking love him. You know, and this is what I want to see. I want to see Everton be better than they was last season, and by a absolute country mile. No, we'll go further than that. By a fucking light year. By a fucking galaxy. We are a gazillion times better. So, guys, look, I'm leaving it there. I'm excited. You can tell. I even had the green screen out, but with the lighting, it's completely fucked. God knows what this is going to look behind me. But anyway, up the fucking Toffees. Spirit of the Blues. I think it's number 11th in the official charts. Keep fucking streaming it. You know, Vinkic has been absolutely phenomenal. Looks nothing like I expected. Looks like Thomas Gravison. You probably won't thank me for that. But he has actually backed me since day one. So I've got all the time in the world for him, and I hope they give him a fucking OBE or an MBE or whatever it's fucking called. He deserves it. So guys, leaving it there. Have a fantastic night. Oh, watch along tomorrow morning. Prediction show tomorrow morning. Get on them. I didn't do a prediction show last week. My fault. And it was my fault. So guys, see you soon. Peace.